Hi guys, and welcome back to the series. So we're going to be looking at this question, which is greatest common divisor of strings. Let me just expand this first. So for two strings s and t, we say t divides s if and only if s equals to t plus blah blah blah. So we should be able to concatenate t indefinitely to get s, right? And then given two strings, string 1 and string 2, return the largest string x such that x divides both string 1 and 2. Yeah, and then we're given a couple of examples, which is string 1 is ABC, string 2 is ABC. So the greatest common divisor is ABC. And then we have another one, which is AB, and AB, and then the final one is LeetCode. Okay. So the first thing that comes to my mind when I see greatest common divisor is in maths there is a way of calculating the greatest common divisor of two or more numbers. So probably the first thing that I would probably do is try and find out what the greatest common divisor is. So the algorithm itself is relatively simple. So if we use something like the Euclidean algorithm, we should be able to find the GDC for two numbers. So how this normally works is if we are given two numbers. So in this case, let's take the length of the strings as two numbers. So for example 1, we have length of string 6 and length of string 3, right? So we keep on getting the remainders. So like we keep on doing a modulo until we get 0 as the modulo. So in this case, if we do a modulo of 6 and 3, we get 0, right? So the smaller number is the GCD is equal to 3, right? If we get two more numbers, so if we look at example number 2, which is 6 and 4, so 6 and 4, we do the modulo of this is going to give us 2, right? So then we take the smaller number, which is 4, and do the modulo with the remainder, which is 2, which will give us which will give us 0, right? So our GCD is equal to 2, right? And then if we can look at a random example, so if we take something like 24 and 21, right? So if we take the modulo of this, so 24 modulo 21 is going to be 3, right? 21 modulo of 3 is equal to 0, right? So our GCD is equal to 3, right? So this is relatively simple to implement in code as well. So let's go to the code, I guess. So the first thing that I want to do is calculate the GCD. So I'm going to create a new function over here called calculate GCD, and this will take in two numbers, so num1 and num2, right? And we can actually just do this recursively, which is going to be, I think, simpler. So I can just do something like big num equals to whatever the max is between num1 and num2, right? And then I can do small num and make it equal to the min between num1 and num2, right? So this will kind of give me the two numbers that I'm looking for, but then like in big and small. And then what we can just do is, let's think of the base case. So the base case is whenever the remainder is 0, right? So if the remainder is 0, that should mean that the small value is going to be 0. So if small num modulo is equal to 0, right, then we just want to return the whatever the bigger number is, and I think it will make more sense after I complete the next line, which is just return calculate and GCD of small num, right, and the big num modulo small num. Okay, so if we look at our example, so if our big num was 24, right, and our small num is 21, so we're going to come over here and we're going to pass in 21 as our small num, right, and our big num is going to be a big num, which is 24 modulo 21, which is going to be 3, right. So 21 and 3 get passed down, so again we get it split up. This will be false, and then we come over here, so now the smaller number will be 3, and then the bigger number, which is 21 modulo of 3, which is going to be 0, right. So we pass that down. This time small num will be 0, and then we can return back 3. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so we have this helper function, and what we can do is we can calculate the GCD of the two strings. So calculate GCD of string 1 dot length and string 2 dot length, right. So the reason for kind of doing the math dot max and dot min operation over here is because we are never guaranteed that string 1 will be bigger or string 2 will be bigger. So this way at least we're kind of going over that edge case. If in the event that string 2 is bigger than string 1, we're still getting the correct values. Okay, so once we have the greatest common divisor, right, that means that this the bigger string and the smaller string can come down to the minimum length of GCD, right. So what we can do is we can do kind of like a substring. So we can do a const GCD string, and we can get a substring of either one. So either we can do a substring of string 1 or string 2, doesn't really matter. So I'll just do string 2 dot substring, and we want to start from the 0 position going all the way till the GCD position, right. So this should give us like a substring that should be equal, that we should be able to add to itself and kind of get the bigger string. So let's try and test string 1 first. So I'm just going to create a new variable called string 1 test, right. Keep it equal to an empty string, and I will do for let I equals to 0, I less than string 1 dot length divide by GCD, right. So if string 1 is length of 6 and our GCD is 3, right, this should give us 2 iterations, right. And then I plus plus, and what I want to just do is string 1 test plus equals to GCD string, right. That should give me a string that should be equal to the initial string 1 that we started off with. So if string 1 test is not equal to string 1, then that means that our GCD string didn't really match. So in that case we can just return an empty string, and we kind of want to do the same thing for string 2. So I'll just copy and paste this, and this time now it'll be string 2 test, we're going till string 2 length, and we are adding to string 2 test. We're testing string 2 is equal to string 2 test, right? And if none of these things fail, that means that we actually have the correct answer. So we can just return GCD string, right? So let's try and run this. Calculate GCD string GCD. Calculate GCD is not defined. Oh, sorry, typo. All right, awesome. That passes the tests. Let's try and submit it to all the other cases. Awesome. Now, there's probably a few things that I was thinking of when I was kind of coding this up. Is that these tests might actually be redundant to some extent if we can just check if string 1 plus string 2 is the same as string 2 plus string 1, right? So we can actually just put in a test over here saying that string 1 plus string 2 is not equal to, sorry, string 2 plus string 1. Then we just want to return an empty string, right? So how this will work is, like, if you look at string 1 and string 2, right, if you concatenate them, we'll get ABC, ABC, ABC 3 times, right? And if you reverse the order, so if you do string 2 first and then string 1, we would still get the same answer, right? That's not the case for like LeetCode, right? No matter how you concatenate it, you will still never get the same answer. So that will at least check if it's possible to calculate, if it's possible to get a GCD string for both the strings, right? So in which case then all these tests kind of become redundant, right? There's no point in having them, and instead we just want to calculate the GCD and then create the substring and just return the substring. So let's try and test this. As expected, that passes everything, and the performance is also much better. All right, thanks guys, and thank you so much for supporting this channel and this series. I really appreciate everyone leaving their comments, leaving their likes, and also subscribing, and hope to see you in the next one.